There are 32 things I don't buy anymore and will probably never spend money on again, which allow us to save almost $72,000 per year, giving us a whole lot more financial freedom, stability, and choices. That's massive. That's basically the equivalent of one salary. I'll be coming at you hard and fast, so strap yourself in. And these are things most people spend money on without even thinking. They kind of feel like they're necessary. And so I'm going to challenge you to think differently about some of the things that you just spend money on without even thinking. Now, the last three things on this list alone add up to $15,000 a year, and you might be surprised at what some of them are. So what I did is I actually sat down and calculated how much we spend on things now versus what we used to spend. And we've either eliminated it or changed the way that we spend on it. And so these numbers are my numbers. They may be different for you, but the bottom line is that if you even did only half of this, by the time you add it all up, the difference will be massive. So you're about to get loads of ideas and inspiration for saving money, and you're going to be challenged in rethinking some of the things you think you need to spend money on. Okay, you want me to just get on with the list, right? Let's get into it. Data roaming while on holiday. So in the past, we used to just pay extra for our roaming data while we were overseas, something like $10 per gigabyte. But that got very expensive very fast. And what we do now is we simply buy a data-only SIM card while we're over there. And that saves us roughly $440 between the two of us for a couple of trips a year. Household cleaning products. Now, I, a long time ago, went for a chemical-free home, but I still used to buy some chemicals. But now I've knuckled down and it's literally bicarb and vinegar and lemon, pretty much cleans the whole house. And that saves us roughly $500 a year. Plus, it's better for our health and better for the environment. And I really have to admit that when I added all of this up, I was pretty shocked. I did not expect it to be such a large number, even myself. And the thing to recognize here is all those little things that add up, those little forgotten things add up to a massive, massive amount. Next, high heels. I don't wear them, but I was still buying them because they're pretty, right? So by just not buying them, because I honestly never wear them, I save about $600 a year. Because being rich is actually not about having more stuff. It's actually more about having less clutter, less complications, less things to worry about, less commitments, less things that tie you down and keep you working to try and keep the whole machine running. Perfume and cologne. We don't use either one of those anymore, and we used to very, very regularly. But the truth is they're actually not good for you. They're full of carcinogens, and they're not great for the environment either. So we save about $1,000 a year by just eliminating those and either using just deodorant or essential oils. Okay, this next one, I'm going to reiterate my caveat that these are our choices that work for us because we don't have private hospital cover. So in Australia, we're lucky enough to have a really great hospital system. And I'm lucky enough to pay lots of tax to help pay for that hospital system. The Royal Adelaide Hospital is where you want to end up if something is really gravely wrong with you. And I know that elective surgery and so on can be an issue when you don't have private hospital cover, but I'm happy to take my chances because the bottom line is that even if you do have private hospital cover, you end up paying a massive, massive gap out of your pocket on top of it. And so it's not just the cost of the hospital cover, it's then also the gap that you have to pay yourself. So by just not having private hospital cover and only having extras cover for dental and optical and those sorts of things, we save almost $1,000 a year, plus those potential gaps. Okay, I feel like a little bit of a nana because the next one is orthotic shoes. So I need the extra arch support. So does Martin. And I used to shop around and try and find, attractive looking shoes that had really good foot support, but they're very expensive. So then I realized that no, I could just buy shoes like I always have on sale up a size so that they fit my orthotic inner soles that my podiatrist made me. So by doing that, between us, we save about $1,000 a year. Designer handbags. I don't see the point especially the way I treat my bags. So I estimate that I save about $1,000 a year because there are bags I would love to buy. But when I look at what they cost versus how long they last me and how I treat them, it's honestly not worth it to me. Because it's overconsumption that actually keeps us stuck in a cycle of working just to keep up that level of consumption. Because a really good question to ask is this actually adding to my level of happiness, or is this adding to the noose I have around my neck that keeps me stuck in this cycle of overconsumption? Books. I don't buy books anymore, but I read one book a week, and not on Kindle. I read physical books. I like to smell the paper. I like to get them wet when I accidentally drop them in the pool and all that stuff. So the reason I save about $1,000 a year on books is because I use those neighborhood library community exchange boxes where, you drop a book, you pick up a book. And I found a few around our neighborhood where we all seem to have similar tastes in crime fiction. And I'm well stocked for books without actually ever spending a cent. It also saves trees. Christmas presents for friends and extended family. I just stopped. I used to spend about $1,000 every Christmas, just little thoughtful gifts, knickknacks, and so on. And then, of course, have to spend the time trying to get around to drop them all off. And I just stopped and nobody noticed. And so there's $1,000 in my pocket. I wonder how much we've saved so far. We still have a dumb TV. We have as yet not invested in a smart TV because we just use a Chromecast dongle and we're fine. So we only own one TV in the entire house, and we also don't kind of do the whole gadget upgrade thing. And I estimate that probably saves us maybe $1,000 a year. We don't buy weekly lottery tickets. Actually, that's not quite true. Martin does. He likes to get the odd one, and I don't agree with it because I think it's a waste of money. But then there's still the part of me that says, but if he wins, he will share with me, right? So I still estimate that it saves us about $1,000 a year. Alcohol. So I stopped drinking alcohol for several years a while ago, and then I kind of started again, and now I've stopped again because it honestly doesn't do me any favors. It just makes me feel tired. And Martin still enjoys a glass of wine here and there, but I personally just don't drink at all anymore, which means that when we go out, I don't have a cocktail or wine. And also I don't buy bottles of gin to stock the freezer with anymore. And so that's just me not drinking. And it saves us just over $1,000 a year. Okay, we're going to start getting into some of the juicier things now. So let's talk cars, and especially brand new cars. Now, when you buy a car brand new, the moment you drive it off the lot, it has dropped about 15% of its value, which means that if you buy a $40,000 vehicle, you have lost $6,000 by the time you've driven it home. So if you were to say upgrade your car every 5 years, which a lot of people do, that's about $1,200 a year that you're spending just on instant loss of depreciation. Now, I personally still have my 2017 Mazda, which at the time I bought it, it was 2 years old, but it had hugely low mileage on it. And it is still in really good condition, apart from all the shopping center dings all around it, but it's in great condition. It has never let me down, and I absolutely love it. And my wish is that that car lasts me for the rest of my life. Streaming services. Foxtel, Stan, Amazon Prime, Disney, the list goes on and on and on. Most people have several of them. We have one, we have Netflix. And even that feels like we're never ever going to get around to watching everything we could potentially want to watch on Netflix. So by just not having other streaming services and just having Netflix, which is quite inexpensive, we save about $1,200 or so per year. And just quietly, if there ever is something on that you really must watch, I bet you have a friend with an account that gives you access to that thing, but you didn't hear it from me. Mobile phone plans. So we used to be with Telstra, which is our main provider here in Australia, and it's also the most expensive one. They have great network coverage. But then with a little bit of investigation and the help of a helpful friend, we found out that there was another provider called Boost Mobile who have access to exactly the same network for a fraction of the cost. So we've both switched over, and instead of spending something like $200 each just on the mobile phone part of our plan, we each spend $300 per year. And that saves us just over $1,500 a year. The latest mobile phone. It's such a big deal, right? Everybody wants the latest mobile phone. This here is a Samsung S9 Edge. I think it almost qualifies as an antique by now. However, it's what I use every single day. I use it a lot for my business. I shoot video on it, has a great camera, and there's nothing that I need to do that it doesn't do. And so by not always upgrading to the latest phone, and when we do need a phone, just buying a refurbished phone that comes with a warranty, we save close to $2,000 per annum between us. Hair salons. Now, I am a little bit overdue, so please don't judge, but we save, or I save, because Martin doesn't even have hair, I save over $1,700 a year by no longer going to the trendy, cool suburb salons or the city ones. I go to the outer suburb salons. I have a wonderful hairdresser. And instead of going every 8 weeks, which is what they used to like to book me in for, see you back in 8 weeks, I go maybe every 14 weeks, something like that. And the saving is significant. Gifts for your partner. So Martin and I don't give each other anniversary presents, birthday presents, or Christmas presents. We do celebrate special occasions by going out to dinner, which is part of our regular budget anyway, but we don't buy those extra presents just because. We buy things as we need them and as we want them. And by doing that, we probably save about $1,800 per year. Soft drinks and beer, those thirst quenching drinks, we don't do them at all anymore. I make my own kombucha, which I absolutely love. And the flavor choice is ginger or ginger. Now, by doing that, we are saving almost $2,000 a year. It's better for our health because we're not consuming the large amounts of sugar and alcohol. And in fact, that's how it actually started. In summer in particular, I used to love a thirst-quenching beer, must be my German heritage, and I needed an alternative, and so kombucha was it. Let's talk subscriptions. I used to love subscribing to magazines, and Martin used to love subscribing to magazines. For him, it was guitars and planes, and for me, it was, home decorating and things like that. And we just stopped and realized that by doing that, we are saving almost $2,000 per year. Let's talk kitchenware, because I save probably $2,000 a year compared to what I used to spend back when I would buy more expensive pots and more expensive, plates and glasses and cutlery. And now really I just tend to go to maybe Kmart or Target or IKEA when I need those kinds of things. And when I just need a new fry pan or so on, I usually just drop down to Kmart and get myself one. So $2,000 a year, just like that, in your kitchenware. I also save over $2,000 a year, I estimate, on not buying high-end skincare and makeup. So I won't buy the designer brand makeup. I pretty much just buy drugstore makeup. And with skincare as well, I like to keep it low toxicity. And so the brands I choose are actually so much more affordable than a lot of the stuff that's out there, which is actually full of things that aren't particularly good for you. One of my favorites, and you might have heard me talk about this, is the fact that we got rid of the second car and we opted to buy a scooter instead as a backup vehicle because, needing his and hers cars just seemed really over the top, especially when we're both mostly based at home. So we replaced the second car with an inexpensive little scooter, which literally costs no more than $10 to fill the tank. It hardly needs servicing, hardly needs taken care of, and it's a whole lot of fun to ride. So the scooter is loads of fun, and when the weather's great, we fight over who gets to ride the scooter. It's what I take when I go to my yoga class down the road or out for a coffee with a friend. So the saving is about $2,500 a year just on the difference in registration, insurance, maintenance, and so on between a car and a scooter, not to mention the actual cost of the vehicle itself. Stereo and sound systems. This is it. It's my Yui boom. Martin has his own as well, and that's it. And, for years we've been saying, oh, maybe we should invest in a nice Bose system, have it wired through the house, or sorry, it's all Bluetooth by now, but when we first started talking about it, it was all wired. And every time we think about it, we're like, that's $2,500, $5,000, depending how far you want to go with it. And really, do we need it? No. Yui boom does the job beautifully. Let's talk kitchen appliances. I'm talking Thermomix, bread maker, all those gadgets that everybody seems to think that they need, when really, do you really need it? And I know people love their Thermomix and people love their slow cooker. But when you add up the amount of money you spend on it versus, just cooking the old fashioned way, it's significant. So a Thermomix is what, $2,500 saved, just like that. This next one was surprising because it adds up to almost $3,000 a year when I actually sit down and do the math. And for me, the choice was actually more about being environmentally friendly. I'm talking about coffee pods. So we just have an inexpensive coffee machine with loose coffee, that we freshly grind at home. So we buy beans, we grind them at home, almost $3,000 a year, just saving on the pods. Now, if you add to that the fact that we don't have like a $5,000 machine, it literally was a $100 machine, but it makes great coffee. It's pretty bloody significant. Fancy resorts, don't do them, because when I go on holiday, I like to immerse myself in the culture. I like to kind of blend in and, feel the vibe of the place. And to me, when I'm sitting in a 5-star resort being waited on hand and foot, that's lovely, but I could be anywhere. So I do like to be comfortable when I go on holidays, but I forego the big, flashy, expensive resorts, which on average would be about a $3,000 holiday for most people once a year. And so that, again, is a significant saving. And it's also more in alignment with the way that I like to do my holidays. I do also prefer giving my money to the locals by, renting a local Airbnb and eating out in the local restaurants rather than in some resort that's probably owned by a multinational company. So all in all, this is what we've tallied up to. You'll notice that we've still got $21,000 to go in my savings that I estimated for myself, and only 5 items left on the list. Home decor items, little knickknacks around the house. I used to spend a lot of money on that. And I estimate I save about an average of $3,000 a year these days because I just don't. I have what I have and I enjoy it. And in fact, I'm always looking to cull and cut things back a little bit. And if anything, I'll replace knickknacks with like a new pot plant, right? And even lighting. In the past, I would go to lighting stores and buy, really lovely, expensive designer lights. And now let's just go to IKEA because they look great. And there's other things I'd rather spend my money on. This is one of my favorites. It's furniture. Rather than buying, lovely designer furniture, I love to buy my big chunky pieces of furniture at auction. So my dining table, my coffee table are still from when I went through my divorce and I had no money. So my coffee table is actually made of pallet wood. I literally went and found a guy who made pallets and I said, can you make me like a pallet but without the gaps and put some legs on it? And he said, you mean a coffee table? Because his wife was constantly getting him to make furniture as well. And you can tell that I sanded it myself because I did get a little tired and there are some rough patches underneath. So when you sit on the floor, you might find 1 or 2 of those. Now, my dining table is actually solid oak. It's pretty much an antique piece and it is indestructible. And I bought it for $100 at the auctions when I had absolutely no money. And I also managed to find these lovely TH Brown designer chairs and some other matching chairs, and we still have those. And every year I keep saying I must reupholster these chairs and I just never do. The same goes for my beautiful reading chair. It is my haven every morning because that's where I sit for my morning meditation. And I still haven't gotten around to reupholstering that one either. So I estimate that it probably averages out to about $5,000 per year that we're saving ongoing just by shopping the way we like to shop. Okay, we're into the home straight. The last 3 items that add up to savings of $15,000 per year. Now, this next one surprised me because I knew it was going to be a significant number. And for me, it's a very conscious decision on a few different levels. But I was shocked that it was actually $5,000 difference between how we could do it versus how we do it, because we still do it. And I'm talking about going out for dinner rather than going to, the latest fine dining 5-star restaurant that everybody wants to be seen at. We like to find the what I call tasty AF little places that are really authentic, that are honestly usually not much to look at, but the food is so divine that we're literally craving it all. And the saving just in that difference is about $5,000 a month. And I have to say that I enjoy my dining experience so much more by just going to a really relaxed, casual place where I absolutely love the food, rather than going to somewhere where I can't even remember what the hell this thing is, because there were about 3 things in the ingredients that I've never heard of before. And look, that's not to say that we don't enjoy going out for fine dining. We do it, but we'll do it, for special occasions, and then we're very selective about it. And the difference in savings is really quite astounding. Next, $5,500 just about every single year saved simply through our clothing choices. So I don't really buy designer, and I rarely buy new. And in fact, next year I have set myself a no buy challenge. So no new clothes for all of next year. Wish me luck, because I do really love to go to op shops and thrift stores and buy secondhand. I feel good about that. I know I'm not adding to the problem of overconsumption and landfill and fast fashion and taking advantage of labor forces and all the problems that come with it, the environmental ones, the sociological ones, the ecological ones, all of it. I love knowing that I'm not adding to the problem. But having said that, even if you prefer to shop in op shops and thrift stores, you can still overconsume. So that's why next year it's a no buy challenge, because I know that there's actually too many pieces in my closet at the moment. And if anything, I need to start thinning them out a little bit so I can actually have more joy from the pieces I do have. I'm about to share the last one with you, and I have to say I'm really staggered at how much this adds up to, because I know so many people who happily and frequently spend this amount of money. It's over $12,000 a year in savings for us. And I'm not saying it's not a valuable thing to spend money on, but it comes down to, well, how would you like to spend your money? And can you still get the same benefit without the massive spend? So I'm talking about having a personal trainer versus having group PT sessions. We choose to do group PT sessions, and we pay as we go. So we don't have a gym membership either. We literally just pay for what we actually use. And when you sit down and crunch the numbers, it's pretty staggering what a massive difference it makes, even with just 2 sessions a week between the 2 of us, having a personal trainer versus doing a group session. So there you have it. Grand total, almost $72,000 a year. That's an entire salary. It's pretty nuts, really, because when you look at that list of things, they're all things that most people will spend money on without giving it a second thought. So I encourage you to go through this list and see which of those you can just maybe make some changes on, because remember that every dollar you save is a dollar you don't need to earn, and it's a dollar that you can invest to start making money babies for you. And just like for me, I'm sure your bottom line is that you just want more money to flow and for it to feel easy. So if you need some help with organizing your money, then please check out the Magnetic Money Management Bootcamp, because that is exactly what we help you do in that. And also be sure to check out this episode next, because in that we're going to talk about 3 ways that you can manage your money better that also turbocharge your money magnetism, helping you to attract more of it more easily. So click on that now, and I'll see you there.